Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. If you haven't ever seen my face before, hello, my name is Makayla, and I'd love for you to subscribe and become part of our family here on YouTube. So today's video is my fall DIYs. I had originally planned to have these up a while ago, but I worked too hard on them not to share them with you guys, so I'm going to post them anyway, even though it is October and fall's almost over. Well, actually, fall's just got started, but yeah. And so I had my wisdom teeth out, and so there for a while I didn't feel like doing anything. So even though fall is, it's the middle of fall, it's almost Halloween and all that fun stuff, I'm still going to be posting my fall DIYs anyway, and yeah, so I hope you enjoy them. So let's get on into the video. So first, for the first DIY, you're going to need a foam board. I just got it at the Dollar Tree, some paint, a paintbrush, and a Sharpie. So first off, I started by just splashing some paint onto the foam board. The original idea is to get it to look kind of like barnwood, but I try to use some darker colors to make it look more fallish. So I use this kind of mustard yellow and also a brown and mix those back and forth until I got it to where I liked it. So I'm just going in with the brown now. Honestly, this one was probably the easiest one. It did take a while, but finally I got it to somewhere how I wanted it. Then I took my Sharpie and made some lines down the board. This did not have to be perfect because I wanted to make it look rustic, and so in old barns you don't really see straight lines in wood because some of it has aged and broken off, so I really like the idea. And now I'm just going and outlining in bold letters, "Happy Fall, y'all." That's what I wanted it to say, because if you cannot tell by my voice, as me narrating this, I am somewhat southern, so happy fall, y'all just made sense. And even though while I was doing this, it was still kind of really warm outside, and even today while I'm doing the voiceover, it is still hot outside too. So I just put happy fall, y'all, and then I drew a pumpkin and a leaf, which I didn't film that was an afterthought, but I drew a pumpkin and a leaf as well. So there's the pumpkin. And so what I did was I took some orange and red paint and mixed them up for the letters. I didn't want it to be a bright red, but I didn't also want the pumpkin color to be the only color other than the wood, if that makes sense. So I just mixed those up. I didn't have a palette. My brother was borrowing my palette, so I did that. And so I started with the Y and y'all, and yeah. And there's what it looks like once I got it completely done. And then I hung it up on our front door, which you will see the finished product in just a second. And there it is. It looks really good up on the door. The foam does kind of roll up, so after it dries, if you take and sit some heavy books on the corners, that'll keep it flat and looking good. So I really liked it. I thought it kind of was really cool. So for the next DIY, you're going to need some ribbon, some twigs, fabric, and a roll of toilet paper. You're also going to need scissors, but I forgot to say that. So cut your ribbon, and then we're going to tie it around the twig. I like to do this step first because it just gets it out of the way. It's super easy, and we're just tying it into a pretty little bow. I also cut some of the ends off to make it more neat, I guess. So I laid out my fabric, and then I took and unwrapped the toilet paper just a little bit and then rewrapped it to make it more of a round shape. And then I took and stuffed the ends of the fabric into the center cardboard part of the toilet paper roll. So my fabric, I had used it to make something out of before, so it had a chunk missing out of it. So I had to be creative, and yeah. So then I just stuck the little twig in, and that fabric didn't want to work for what I needed it to, so I switched to this one, but I still ended up using that fabric for a smaller one, which you will see. So just take and stuff into the center of the toilet paper roll, which I think it turned out really cool. So that's what it looked like. And there's the finished product. Oh, I didn't use that. Never mind. I thought I used it. But I guess I used the yellow one instead, which made more sense with the other two. Which I thought those looked super cute. And I like the ones with the smaller twigs instead of the big twig. Or stick, really. For this next DIY, you're going to need some wooden pumpkins, some paint, twine, and so I just started and painted all the pumpkins orange. I tried to make like the little veins or the indentions of the pumpkins, which I only did it on a couple of them. I ended up not liking the way they turned out, so you can see some of them right there. I did do a darker orange and then a brighter orange to kind of give a little bit of contrast. I thought it looked good that way. So once they had all dried, I took and opened my twine, and I measured out, I think, about 4-ish. I don't know. But then I took and tied a knot at the end so the pumpkins wouldn't slip off. And we're just going to be stringing the pumpkins onto the twine to make kind of like a pumpkin garland. And I tried to pattern them to where there was a darker orange and then a light orange. Darker orange, light orange. And I just did this until all the pumpkins were used. And then made another little knot on the other side so they wouldn't slip off. And then I hung them on my wall and put some Polaroid pictures in between them with little clothespins. I thought it looked really good that way. I didn't have enough for the whole twine rope. So the last DIY, we're going to make a mason jar scarecrow. So we have a mason jar, some burlap, some twine, some paint, and then there's also these little leaves that I'll use, and hot glue. Also some buttons, a paintbrush, and I think that's everything. So first I took and put the paint inside of the mason jar, and I rolled it around until the entire inside of the mason jar was covered, and then I let the excess drip out and also let it dry without the lid being on it, because if you don't, then the paint will stay liquid. And yeah, so then I took and hot glued the buttons on for some eyes on the outside of the jar. But before I did that, I made a little hat out of burlap. So I took some hot glue, glued it to the lid, and wrapped it around, and just putting some things of hot glue as I went. I also tried to use my nail to push it down and not my actual finger, because that would have burned super bad, and I did burn myself a couple of times, which I've used hot glue so much, I feel like I've become immune to hot glue burns. And then after I made it all the way back around, I glued up the side of it. And then I took some twine, and this is what's going to make it look more like a hat. I pinched and finished gluing, apparently. I thought I did that just a minute ago, but I guess it didn't stay. I pinched and pulled to tie the twine around the burlap to make it look more like a hat. It might have been better if I just hot glued it and then tied the twine around it, but I kind of liked it. It gave it more of that scarecrow you would have seen out in a field look. So, and then I took a leaf and glued it. Also, the thing about the way I did it is you can take the lid off and put stuff inside as well. So I hot glued a leaf on the side of the hat. And then I hot glued the buttons for the eyes, which honestly I kind of wish that I had glued it to where the wood side was facing out and not the flowered side. Even though the flower side is very pretty, I think it would have been better if I had glued on the flower side instead of that side. And then so I kind of tried to make it look like it had some rosy cheeks, but I didn't like the way that it looked, so I used a darker color and my sponge brush, and it looked a little better. Like that. And then I just used my finger to kind of smooth out some stuff. Like so. Then I took another little piece of twine to make the smile, and then hot glued that on. Which I thought it looked really cute that way. Honestly, this was not the best DIY out of all of this, but I still wanted to include it because I know most of y'all are super talented and could figure it out and make it look super cool and super good. And then I just put some more of those leaves in the top of the burlap hat. And again, I could still take the hat off and store stuff inside of it. I was showing my mom right then what it looked like. So yeah. Okay, so that was the video. If you recreate any of these, please let me see them on Instagram. I will leave my Instagram handle and my Snapchat in the description below. Also, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. It just helps a ton with the YouTube algorithm. Also, if you don't know what to comment fall is here. So yes, so thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you next time.